Everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the Stay Attached podcast. We are joined by none other than Patrick Aches Price, the 20-time Call of Duty champion, the 2-time world champion, and he also has a beautiful 2020 Pearl White GTR. Pat, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, brother. My Price duo. Appreciate you having me. I'm glad to talk about some of the things that we got coming up. And yeah, thank you for that warm intro, bro. That made me
Of
feel real
course,
good.
of course.
Um, Make sure to cite the GTR. That's important for sure.
Very important.
But yeah, man. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, I'm excited to have you on. Someone that's been in COD since the start, been so successful, having the Cole Dynasty potentially if the best team of all time. I mean, maybe we'll touch on that. Talk about it later. But yeah, I'm excited. So if there is any COD franchise listening, because I haven't seen you announce a team yet, so let me just repeat what I said. 20-time Call of Duty champion in 4v4 on boots and 2-time world champion 4v4 on boots. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say for any of the COD franchises listening. That simple.
I'm waiting for the call.
I'm waiting too. I'm waiting to see that tweet from you and I see your team.
Yeah.
But starting from the young days when you were young, Pat Price, what was the first Call of Duty game you played, like casually, and then when did you start getting into competitive Call of Duty?
Yeah. So dating back to like I think 2004 is when I got my original Xbox. And there was like a year period there, and I had an older brother who's 6 years older than me. So like we played games, mostly
Yeah.
sports games, like the super early stuff, even on like GameCube
Yeah.
and whatever. I had originally when I got Xbox Live. It was like that $60 membership. It
Yep.
came with like the little mic that you put on your head, like it goes all the way
Dude,
around.
yeah, those mics were
Um,
so bad. I broke
yeah,
so many.
that's what I started with, but, I was actually playing, like, an online, like it was like a chess strategy type game, just for fun. It was like a free game, and I met someone on there that was like, because I had an Xbox and I had Halo,
Yeah.
and I had played, like, Friends, like, on LAN. Well, I guess it was LAN back then, but it wasn't really like a LAN event. It was,
Yeah.
just, like, playing for fun, like, 1v1 and stuff, in the campaign, and someone from that game convinced me to get Xbox Live. And that was like the first time I got it, and I got it in, and I was playing Halo 2. This was super early, original Xbox, like 2004, 2005. Um, and I was like all about Halo.
Yeah.
Um, so then Call of Duty 2 comes out in 2006, and I had played Big Red 1, the very first one, the campaign only game. And then I'd say around 2006 is when Call of Duty 2 came out, and I was just like, I had the game, even though I was playing Halo so much, I had the game, and so I was like, all right, well, let me play some Call of Duty. So Call of Duty 2 online on the original Xbox is kind of when I first started playing Call of Duty multiplayer. Um, and then even then, I wasn't like I was playing it super casually, right? I didn't even know about the game battle system and the competition-esque stuff that was going on back in COD 2.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like the game, and even throughout Halo, I still I still played Halo the whole time. That was like the main game I was playing for fun. And even going into Halo 3, so I played Halo 2 and Halo 3 a ton, like
Yeah.
majority. And like COD 2 and COD 3, like I played them, but they were just like, yeah, I'll hop on COD for a little while, like, it's fun. Um, and then Call of Duty 4 is really what sparked, like, the competitive side. That's when I found out about game battles. That's when I found out about, like, you were watching, like, the Halo 2 pros,
Yeah.
with MLG, and it was just like, "Oh, shit, like, this
Like I
stuff
want
is
to do
dope."
that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and I was playing Halo, and so, then I really liked COD 4. Like, COD 4 was just, like, super fun to me, and I think, like, every other pro nowadays almost started out S&D only, right? Like, playing
Yeah.
2v2s and 3v3s,
Trying to get your
GB
GB
matches.
rank down.
Yeah, literally for GB rank,
Yeah.
having just absolute fun. I think I played with a dude named, Blood Rush, I think was his name back then. It was, like, just 2v2s. Um, and yeah, I mean, like, climbing that ladder back in, like, early '08, um and that's kinda just how I developed my Call of Duty career. I ended up, competing with Fatalize, who now works
Yep.
at Scuf Gaming.
We love
Um,
Mr. Ryan Bogucki.
yeah, that was, like, PCL 2, 2008, so that's, like, summer. That was a long time ago. And that's kinda how I got into my start of, competitive Call of Duty.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's when I kind of started like learning about competitive COD, like the COD 4 days, forum days. I was like 10 years old. But I miss those days. Like when GB rank mattered, when having a known friends list mattered. Like I wish I would do anything to go back, be a pro back then, and have a super known friends list. Like it was
Bro, having
so much
the
fun.
rep on the forums mattered, like,
Yep,
there was,
literally
like, a few people
everything.
who had red rep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people were getting
that's
banned
when it
off the
was
forums, and it was just crazy.
it was vicious back then, bro. There was I mean, we were all young, but, like, people going at each other's necks.
Yeah. And the Halo 3, like I didn't get to play Halo 2 online, but Halo 3, like most fun I've ever had gaming with like the Forge games. The rank system in it was incredible for all the MLG, like the Team Slayer, everything about it, Team SWAT. Like I had so much fun playing Halo 3. Like that's where I got my start. And then I started playing Call of Duty 4 like right after that too.
I fully agree, like, those days of just playing Halo, like, aspiring to be better was,
Yeah.
like, the best time I've ever had, playing a video game, for
Miss
sure.
those. Those were the golden days for sure. Like,
Oh, yeah.
because back then we didn't have like millions of dollars and $100,000 tournaments to look forward to. Like we were just playing because we just loved video games at the time, and
That was the real passion pit.
yeah, that was the passion pit. That was the real peak of online gaming. Even though it was just so simple, it was so much fun. So
Yep.
whoever missed that, I feel bad for you. If you missed it, go back and watch some YouTube videos on it. It was a great time. But now getting into like Call of Duty competitive, what was your first event you played on LAN?
So my first event ever on LAN was the Modern Warfare 2 national event in Dallas, Texas, at the Hilton Anatol. I'll never forget it. Um, that event had like two separate Halo events going on. It was like the Halo 3 Nationals and the Halo Reach like qualifiers for the Combine, like the new game it just came out and they hadn't finished Halo 3 yet.
Yeah,
I think StarCraft was there as well. They had like its own section, and that's when like StarCraft was like peak blowing up in North America. Um, and so that was my first event. My dad came with me. I think I wanna say I was 15. I might have been 16. I was one of the
young
2.
buck,
So
young buck.
2010. Yeah, it's 2010. Um, I guess I had just turned 16, I think.
Okay.
That was my first event. It was only 8 teams. You had qualified through like the PCL Online's your average placements. JCap was there.
Oh,
He was a part of IXI with Rambo and Big T and Sid Rock. That was my first event with TP. I had just met TP online like a couple months before this event. And it was actually crazy because last year I lived in Dallas and the hotel was the Hilton Anatole and I could see it from my apartment building. Like I was on the 13th
damn.
floor and I could like see the Hilton Anatole and I was like, damn, like whenever I moved in, I was like, shit, it all just came full circle.
Yeah, that just brought back so
Um,
many memories, I'm sure.
yeah, I mean, that was the first event I'd ever attended, and that was where everything was like so, you know, naive, I guess, and young. Like no one had really met each other. I know there was like some people that had known each other from like New Jersey, like that squad from like the
Yeah,
NJ Halos and stuff like that. But for the most part, this is like the first time everyone's coming together
yeah, like
for
met up
LAN
in
events.
person.
Yeah, and it was just a completely different atmosphere than it is today.
Yeah,
And I guess Call of Duty then was like the new kids on the block. Like we had like the two national events in '08 and '09, and this was like the real, I guess, time that like we're thinking Call of Duty's gonna start blowing up. And I even remember back like Killer KC was like the guy running like I guess the Call of Duty stuff like um and it was just like getting to know everyone and seeing like how everyone's transition today is pretty crazy. But uh, that was the first event for me.
nice. And also, I think you mentioned like COD 4 Nationals, so we gotta say shout out to the one and only Johnny T, Pac-Man, national champ right there. Guy is absolute unit.
Is he in the
And
chat?
I don't know if he's in the chat right now. I don't know. He's somewhere out there, probably walking around in sandals, maybe chilling. Um, but what'd you get at that first event? Like what placing?
We got second.
Oh
We
shit.
eliminated IXI who had like had our number throughout the season. Um,
So they were onliners, kind of.
yeah, low key Cap. They didn't lose a map in PCL2,
Oh.
so Cap, wherever you're at, I know you guys are onliners, bro. But yeah, we eliminated my team was me, TP, Juggy, and Miles, and they don't play
Okay.
anymore. But IXI had our number throughout the season. I think we might have beat the OpTic Nation team, which was Merc and Nade Shot and Vengeance and Flawless, and then
Oh,
um, it would be IXI for top 2, and then we ended up losing to Influence, who were just, really good, and they happened to be just nasty on LAN, like, one of their players, Brim, who
Rim
played with,
Laden.
Yep, he played with
Yep.
Pluto. They were like a West Coast California team,
Yeah.
and he showed up to that event and was just disgusting, man. Like he was running a UMP, and like I guess no one had like realized how good he really was online,
Yeah.
and he showed up and just fried, and we lost to them in the finals. It was a pretty close series, but we lost and we got second. I think ended up making, I want to say it was like $1,500, bro. So this was like 2010, the national event. So like think COD champs back
Yeah, that's
then.
crazy.
I placed second and got $1,500 each. Like it
That's
was
a
a
lot
six
back
thousand
then.
dollars.
That's a
Yeah, I know,
lot
but
back then.
it
But
it but like
nowadays, of course, it's
comparison, like
yeah.
like getting second at champs now nets you like what almost 100 grand. Like
Yeah,
if we go off
wait.
last year, like
Yeah.
so,
Crazy.
it was a big difference, and even first, they got, like I think it was, like, 12,000, so they might have gotten, like, 3K each. So, like, winning champs, they got 3K each. It was just pretty absurd.
Yeah, no, that's insane how much the prize pool have changed from being like the COD 4 online tourneys where you win like a couple $100 if you won like the whole season, even that
Oh,
LAN
yeah.
event. And I remember going to my one of my first LANs in like MW3 and I won the free for all and I won like $100. I was probably like 15, something like that. I was on top of
Super
the
hyped.
world. I thought
Yeah.
$100 was so much money. Little did I know $100 is not that much. So I came to find that out soon after, but I was still on top of the world when I had that $100. And then the prize pools now are just like, what did Empire win? I think they won like 300K each or something
Yep.
for champs. If you win the home series, I know they aren't as much. It was like 10K each per player, but still for an online tournament, well, it's supposed to be a LAN tournament. 10K each is still pretty insane. And then I'm guessing you won your first event in Black Ops 1. Is that when you started like taking over with what was
Yeah,
it?
so
Leverage?
yep. So, and I was gonna also note, like, back then, like, when you get a sponsorship, you were literally getting a sponsorship for like one hotel room. Like that's like in 2010, we repped
Yeah.
VWS, and like it was to literally cover because all the flights were covered because it was like a qualification. So
Okay,
we
dope.
literally got like one hotel room free, and then like the rest of us split like the cost for the other like 3 rooms or 2 rooms that we needed. So it
Yeah.
was pretty crazy. But yeah, going into 2011 now, Black Ops 1 comes out. And this is kind of when like Modern Warfare 2 for me is when like early MW2 is when I started getting recognized as like a top player, right? Like
Yeah.
I think looking back, like I was probably like a top 3 player throughout MW2 along with Cap and someone else. But that's when like I kind of started getting a ton of respect. And I had been competing since 08, 09. So this is the first time I've gotten like, broke through in that upper echelon of
Yeah.
like a top player. So getting second in Nats, me and TP were obviously going to stick together and going into the next game. And so that's when we started having like control over like picking up good players
Yeah.
because we were
Because
like,
you were those
upper
guys now.
echelon.
Yeah.
Yeah, go upper echelon going off the last season. So we ended up playing with I forgot who we went into the game with, but like there was so many roster changes in that early time frame. And we played the 25K online tournament with Bobby and Fears. Um, and not a lot of people know this. Right before we picked up them, we were actually playing with Punisher and Dodgers, right? And Dodgers is
Ooh.
obviously kind of like he's like Halifax in the Call of Duty community. Like he was just a super nasty kid who
Yeah.
didn't pursue the game. Like he didn't have the dedication to pursue the game like how everyone else started to. And so we picked up Bobby and Fears. We win the online tournament, which is like a $25,000 frag cup um, going into the first event. And and then we dropped Fears and we picked up Scump. So this is the first
Okay.
time, and I had known about Scump for a little while. Like he had started playing at the end of MW2, mainly on Xbox, and he was just super young and he was
Yeah.
really good. And he was playing with Envy Blue, I think, at the time. So we dropped Fears, we pick up Scump, and we go to Dallas, and that's the first event that you were talking about that we won. And we were really good at this
Yeah.
period. Like we were, I think in the beginning of the game, like that squad of me, Teep, Scump, and Bobby were just nasty. Um, and we didn't really have any trouble with any team, and we kind of came in and steamrolled that tournament. Um, and that was kind of when like it was kinda like in my head, in my parents' head, like, that this was a pursuable thing because
Yeah.
my dad also came with me to all the BO1 events, I was still 16.
Yeah.
Um, and so, like, that was, like, the transition when, because even in MV2, I was still, like, not fighting my parents, but, like, really on that struggle of like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
making some money here and there. This is like something that I can pursue. And this was kind of like the later end of my like playing sports throughout middle
Yeah.
school and early on that I was like, hey, I kind of want to stop playing sports and this is kind of what I want to do. So that was the transition point for me when it kind of became more serious and something that I could pursue. And obviously, I'm still in high school, but this was like getting my parents off my back about like playing so much and video games and this and that. So that was kind of like the eye opener event for me and my parents.
That's dope. I just remember having all those talks with my parents where I was like, just I want to play Call of Duty. I want to try and go pro. I want to go to these events and try this. And they were like, no, go play sports, go do your schoolwork. Like I was damn. But back then it was so hard because there was not these big prize pools, all this social media and all this juice
There
that's
was
just
nothing to
out
go
there.
off of.
Yeah, so
There
you're
was
just
nothing to
they had
show.
to trust
Like,
you. Like
yeah. Well,
uh
dude, I remember back in '08, I had to ask my dad for his credit card to buy, like, $30 worth of GB credits because that's how much the entries were for the
yeah.
PCL events, and, like, we're on, like, it was, like, a family beach trip, it was, like, in the summer, I'm from North Carolina, so, like, I'm, like, a couple hours from the beach, and this is, like I don't even know how old I was, 13, 14, I'm like, "I need, like" maybe it was, like, $50, it was, like, "I need your credit card to buy these credits," like, trying to explain, like, and like a 12 or a 13, 14-year-old, like, it just seems like, "Huh? What the
Yeah.
hell are you doing?" So, like, trying to convince that at that early of an age to buy, like, an invisible credit to play into a tournament was absurd, but yeah, that was, like, the eye-opening event in
Yeah.
2011 where it was like, "It's possible."
And how many events did you end up winning that season with your team? It was Scump, Bobby, and TP, correct?
Yeah, so
Okay.
so we, so that was our roster up until Anaheim, and, we won the 25K online tournament, which is only like 2,500 each for first, and then we
Yeah.
won Dallas, which was 2,500 each for first. We lost Columbus, I think we got like 4th, that's the one OpTic won.
Okay.
And then right after that, we made a roster change, we dropped Bobby, and this was like when Bobby was kinda like, Call of Duty wasn't really what it was
What?
for everyone else
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
And we ended up picking up Proofy, and we win Anaheim instantly. And then throughout the rest of the season, it was a lot of fourths and thirds, and fifths. So we won the early half. We kind of dominated,
Yeah.
and then at the end, like Fear won an event or two. Sensor ended up winning nationals with Next Threat.
The
And
goat.
we had went through a couple roster iterations. Proofy left. We picked up Fears. We kept Scump. Um, and it was just kind of like, we fizzled out the rest of that season with, like, some fourths and some thirds and stuff, but,
Okay.
we ended up winning 2 plus the online tournament.
And then I believe was MW3 the next game after that one?
Yep,
Okay.
so
So how did that
MW3 comes out.
roster transition work from Black Ops 1 to MW3?
Yeah, so MW3 comes out, and I think me, Teep, and Scump knew, like, we were still, as a trio, like,
Yeah.
really fucking good, like, we won with, multiple different forts throughout the last season, and, we stick together, we're going into MW3. And I think the biggest issue for a lot of us is we thought MW3 was gonna be something a lot more, right, in terms of
Yeah.
prizing, support, didn't even have a LAN, the circuit
That was
didn't pick
bad.
it up, and it was kinda, like, real shitty for the competitive community. Um, and so we still go through the game. Game comes out in, like, November, and this is, like, a weird transition because it's never happened in Call of Duty where the new game came out before the last tournament had ended. So
I remember
nationals
that.
in 2011 was like in late November in Providence, and the game came out in early November. So like there's a lot of people still playing the new game, some people playing obviously practicing the old game, and it was like a weird thing. But me, Teep Scump stick together going into W3, and we had a hot start. We were really good. We were still Quantic leverage, I think, at the
Yeah.
time. Um, and we were still a top team, and then back then, MLG was running, like, an online thing called Weekly Warfare, which was, like, show matches, basically. It was, like, a best of 9, and you would play every other day, or every day, you would play, like, 1 or 2 maps.
Okay.
Um, so we're
That's
2-2 in
weird.
the series. This is, like, late January in 2012, so, like, 3 months into the game's launch, and, we're playing this Weekly Warfare series against OpTic, and this is when OpTic announced, like, that Eon OpTic Gaming, that, like,
Mm,
Envy partnership thing.
yeah.
Um, and we're 2-2 in the series on Weekly Warfare, and Scump just randomly out of nowhere, I guess, gets a call from OpTic. This is mid-series, by the way. We're like literally like we play them the next day in like map 4 or 5. Um, and he gets a call, I guess, for OpTic, and wants to join their team. And so it leaves us in a weird spot.
Yeah, you guys
And
are mid-series. You have a roster change. I don't think that's ever been done before in COD.
yeah, literally. And so it's kind of a tricky spot because me and Teep, I think we were playing with Cap. It was me, Scump, Cap, and Teep. And we thought like that was the God Squad because
Yeah,
Cap was like, I feel like me, Scump, and Cap were top 3 players in BO1, like however you want to list them at
yeah,
any given time. And so we think we have the God Squad, right? Like we got the one of the like 3 of the best players of the last year, and Teep, who was discussing. It's kind of hard to throw Teep in like a top 4 player of his game because of his role, but
yeah,
like everyone kind of knew how nasty TP was. It just wasn't as flashy. So we're
yeah,
like, we got the best team. Like it's uncontested going into the season. But then obviously the game is just not what anyone thought. There's no support, and it's just really hard to kind of stick together and convince. There's no money. There's
yeah,
no like online. It's nothing. So Scump leaves, goes to OpTic, um, and then it was just kind of fizzled out. We picked up, I think, Proof, who they dropped for Scump, and then we just rode out the next like few weeks, months. But the game, there was just nothing to play, right?
yeah.
Like there was nothing. There was no tournaments, anything. And this is my senior year in high school, and um, and I think for me, this is kind of when like I took a step back from Call of Duty. And it wasn't because I didn't want to play or like a team issue, but there was literally nothing to play.
Yeah,
Like we
I
were
think
getting on and scrimming for like nothing.
wasn't the
Uh,
only tournament the ones like the EGLs in Europe that year
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah. So and this
MW3?
and those didn't even start until like summertime.
Oh, damn. So it's pretty
So
much
it
like the whole game cycle. It's
yeah,
starting at the
yeah.
very
So this
end.
this is like my second half of my senior
Yeah,
year, and like it was just a lot of emotion. You know, I'm 18. There's
trying
not
to go
anything to play
crazy,
for here. Yeah,
party,
yeah,
all
and
that.
Teep's like in his first year of college, and it was a really weird dynamic, and I think that's when I personally like just stopped playing as much because there wasn't really anything to play for. Like we still had
Yeah,
a team, but like we weren't scrimming. So I would say like anyone who wasn't going to those EGL tournaments, which in North America was only OpTic, it was
yeah,
only Seth, Big T, Merc, and Rambo, and then at the very like end and the and in like the well, I guess we'll get at the end of the summer, but anyway, though they were the only people going. So like
yeah.
3-4 months kind of got taken off from everyone because there wasn't anything to do, um, unless you just loved playing every day.
Unless you just wanted to play, yeah.
Yeah, like you were
Just
playing
scrim
pubs
and
and streaming.
everything.
That was kind of like that was it. So that's like the first time I took time off, but it wasn't because it was my choice. It was just there wasn't anything to do.
Yeah,
And then at the end of the game, Nade shot. There was one tournament in Europe that was coming up. It was EGL 8, and you know, all the North American players were kind of on the same page in the last few months. It's out of OpTic, where it was just like there's not much that we can really do. But
yeah,
at the end, Nade shot I think was really early, starting his relationship with Red Bull, and you know. He was kind of like, "Hey, I'm putting together a roster to go to EGL 8. Red Bull is, you know, supporting it.
damn.
And it was like under wraps because he hadn't started that relationship yet, publicly. And so me and Teep are like, "Fuck yeah, like we want to go, we want to play." So we pick up. It was me, Teep, Nate Shot, and John. Um, and we go to EGL 8. I think we used the name Leverage. I think because like this was like Red Bull was like a Nate Shot thing, right? Like it was like a private relationship that he was building with Red Bull, and so they weren't like a sponsor or anything. They were just like, "Hey, we'll send you out to EGL 8."
Yeah,
Um, and so we put together a squad like last minute. It was me, John Teep, and Nade. We start scrimming. We go to EGL 8. I think we get, I want to say we got like fifth, sixth, fourth, fifth, sixth. We ended up losing to OpTic. We, and it was like there. I know that that series is on YouTube. It's like a crazy series. There was like a CTF that went like overtimes, and every map was literally so close. I
yeah,
think we like won the search, like 6-5. They barely beat us on the first CTF. We lost the second CTF. It was just a crazy
yeah,
series.
yeah.
And back then I think you played 3 CTFs and
Yeah, it
2
was like
SNDs.
that's so strange thing about.
Yeah, and the rules were weird because it was EGL8 and they had different rules than we had in North America. They were
Yeah,
like a little bit more stricter. Um, so anyway, we end up losing that tournament. We get like 5th. Um, and like I think looking back, kind of what started the me and Nade rivalry was like me getting mad at him for like some play he did in the CTF. And like he played good. Like I'm not saying he didn't play bad, but like there was like a certain play on like I think it was lockdown CTF
No
where
way.
like
Come on,
he
Matt.
made like he made like a dumb flag route or something, I think. And I think that's what like started the me and him getting mad
Yep.
or getting a rivalry, whatever. And
Yeah. A little bit of
um
beef. A little bit.
yes, so that was 2012, that was Modern Warfare 3 for me, and it
Yeah.
was just kind of
Yeah.
a roller coaster and not much else other than that.
Damn. So that is when the season ended for like MW3. Like it was done after that.
Yeah, I think, OpTic lost to a
Mm.
European team, and this was,
Was
like, the
that the
first
one
time that
time?
Europe. Yeah, it was, like,
Yeah.
the first time Europe
The
beat
one and only
it,
time. Yeah.
like yeah, there, it was pretty crazy.
And then that sets you up for the release of Black Ops 2. Or was there another game?
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Ops 2. Okay, so I think Black Ops 2 is where you really like took off as like a household name in the COD community, and that's when people really started to pay attention to it. And of course, complexity. What did you guys win? Like 7 or 8 tournaments throughout the year?
I think it was 7 out of 8.
7 out of 8. Oh shit, that's crazy.
No, no, that actually might be wrong.
Oh yeah, because you guys like were decent at the beginning, I remember, and then
Yeah,
you guys
yeah,
like took
eh
off. Like once you got like Clay and stuff, like it was just chalk. Like you guys were winning everything. But how would that happen? Like how did you go from not really playing COD and MW3, going to that one event, and then getting back into it, being near the top, and then completely taking over and becoming the dynasty?
Yeah, so the game came out and Quantic, who was our sponsor last year, like for the last 2 years, was like leaving Call of Duty.
Damn.
And that's actually they introduced us to Jason Lake, who's the owner of Complexity, and that's what started that relationship. And going forward, me and Teep were just like, all right, we're obviously still teaming. We've been together forever at
Yeah.
this. We're like 2.5 years. So we pick up. What was it?
I know you
Fears?
had
Yes.
Too Quick and someone, right? Or
No, no,
was it
so
Fierce to
before that,
start?
yeah, we
Okay,
start the
Fierce to
game with
start.
Fears, who we played with in 2011. We start
Oh
with
yeah, yeah,
Fears, and this is when I was like, "Yo, T, we got to get Krim." Um, and he was, I had known Krim from playing in 2008. He was like Criminal XX,
yeah,
or he had like a gamer tag like Eclipse or whatever. He was this nasty COD 4 kid,
yeah,
who quit to go to Halo, and he had like messaged me pre Black Ops 2 release, like he was playing Battlefield, I think, for
yeah.
like
For
some
that,
ghost Battlefield tournament.
yeah.
So I always fuck with him because in my head, like I saved him from this like pitless despair of playing this Battlefield
Yeah,
tournament for
that never
Monopoly
happened.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like a
that never actually
1.6
happened.
million dollar like Fugazi tournament.
Yeah.
Um, and so he was like playing Battlefield every day for like the last 8 months or whatever. And so and, I pick him up and I'm, like, convincing Teep, dude, like, imagine Lamar coming to you nowadays and being like, "Yo, bro, we gotta get this random dude you've never heard of and put him on our roster on a pro
Yeah.
team, like, it has to happen, bro, like, there's no question." That was
Yeah.
kinda like how I was, and I was having to convince Teep, and Teep was not having it, he was like, "Bro, no shot."
Yeah.
Anyway, pick up Krim, we go into the season, and we're nasty. Like right off the rip, me, Teep, Fears, and Krim are disgusting. We're like dominating in scrims. We win the Frag Cup, and we're just the best team in the beginning.
Yeah.
But that is what started this like Nate shot thing because we go to UMG Chicago.
That's when it started adding on the beef. Like,
Yeah, so we
it's
go to
starting to
UMG
build up.
Chicago and we lost, and it was like the most infuriating thing. Like we lost the series, but like won the map count. Looking back,
Yeah.
and it was like, bro, it was so dumb because we knew we were the best team, and they were good. Like, don't get me wrong, they were a good team. Optic was probably top two, but we were like the best team, and we lost. And we
Yeah.
lost because the format was different. Like normally back then, when you come from winners and you win the first series,
Yeah.
that map count carries over to finals, right? You go into a best of 11, and but what they had done at UMG Chicago was at 2 best of 5. So we were coming from losers, um, and we beat them in the first series like 3-0, and then we go into the second series, and it's a new series count, and we
Yeah.
go game 5 and lose. So we lost the map count, or we won the map count like 5-3, but we lost the series because it was 1 best of 5.
That's weird.
And there was a lot of drama because they were using like the auto
No,
foul, and
yep, I
like
was gonna say Big T was using that, just
yeah, and like
piecing.
we weren't, because like that event was like a month after the game came out, and or like 2 months actually, and all the nerfs had been had been made. Like the PDW got nerfed, the foul
Yeah.
got nerfed, the auto foul wasn't a thing, and and that event was played with no patches. It was like day one of the game. So they were using like this auto foul. Big T shit on us with it, and like there was a lot of frustration. Like we knew we were the best team, and we
Yeah.
lost. And like I think I was on Hex's podcast, and he was like, he asked me about it, and like Nade was doing that. Like you remember like the WWE like Triple X Shawn Michaels, that
Yeah.
like fuck you
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
bro.
yeah,
Nade was doing that, and I don't
yeah.
know, bro. I was just like, I saw red for a moment, bro. I was just so
Yeah.
pissed because like everything that had led into it, and they beat us, and we thought we were the best team, and the format fucked us, and we were just pissed, and like back then I was like 19 or
Yeah,
something, and
everyone's
Nate
super
Shot's
young, yeah.
yeah, Nate Shot's girlfriend was like a tournament moderator
Or like
for UMG
yeah,
or
UMG,
whatever, and
yeah.
like yeah, so it was like there was just so many emotions. It was just like fuck you guys, like we felt robbed, and yeah, so like that's what started that push
Yeah.
thing. So I was like, bro, get the fuck out of my face. Um, and yeah, like I mean, even now, like me and Nate are on really good terms. Like we've spoken throughout the years a few times, and that shit's way past us. But
Yeah.
that was just like that's what started the whole thing, and that looking back was kind of huge for the Call of Duty scene. Like I don't want to take credit for it, obviously,
Nah,
but
you
like
need to.
that,
You guys need to take credit for that. You guys were
yeah,
the
I mean
only reasons to watch in BO2, to be
that put
honest.
so many eyes on Call of Duty
Yeah.
because that sent a tidal wave through esports. Like a grand final match, the loser pushes the winner.
Yeah.
Like that was like huge. Like that had never happened. And I guess in Gears of War, but not in like a grand final
They just fight to
situation.
fight. Like they just
Yeah, yeah,
they do
yeah,
that for
exactly.
fun.
That's just like fuck it, let's just go outside. But that was like a huge thing, and like complexity was a big org back then, and it was
Yeah.
like a big ordeal, like behind the scenes. But that put a ton of eyes on Call of Duty, and I think that helped Nade blow up. I mean, Nade was obviously grinding
Yeah.
content by himself, but that was like a big thing because like Nade was looked at as like the golden boy from Call of Duty, like the guy that won
Yeah.
this tournament and got pushed. Like he was, that's when he kind of started as like the just the spotlight of the
Yeah, on
guy to
his
look for in Call
Twitch
of Duty.
and yeah, that was crazy. But no, just looking back on Black Ops 2 that whole season, like with the OpTic complexity rivalry the whole time, like that was the only reason to watch. I mean, Farico Impact was cool at the beginning, but then like they kind of faded off in the middle. But like, that got everyone interested. Like seeing Nade and Scump blow up on Twitch and YouTube, you push Nade, and then from there it was just Black Ops 2 became shit. It's probably still like the biggest year that COD had growth wise. So that
I
was
think
just
so too.
legendary.
Like you would win an event and gain like 20,000 followers. Like it was nuts. And I
Crazy.
think the one thing that we fail to realize nowadays is in Black Ops 2, it was like T Martin, Syndicate,
Yeah.
Jericho, like think Hutch, like
All those
all
big
these big
YouTubers.
X Jaws, like all these big YouTubers who were just posting like gameplay commentaries
Yeah.
back on YouTube, playing pubs. They were into competitive, bro, and like they were sharing those experiences
Yeah.
with their hundreds of thousands of fans, millions in some cases, and that for me looking back, that is what was like alleviating Call of Duty to the next step is you just had everyone involved and
Yeah.
it was organic. It wasn't
It wasn't
like
like a
Activision.
forced. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Activision was paying whoever how much money to promote it. It was literally these guys were enjoying Call of Duty and they were enjoying it, seeing it competitively for the first time.
Yeah.
They were going to events, they were like super interactive and it was blowing up and I think that's something looking back that like has really hurt the franchise in the last few years. Like Warzone's a different story, but like
Yeah.
there wasn't that organic growth from the casual side that they were providing back in BO2 and Ghost.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Because I just remember seeing everyone's Twitters, everyone's YouTube, every player that started a YouTube and was uploading kind of consistently in BO2 had at least 30 to 50,000 subs.
It
Like there
was
was just
it was
so
an
much
explosion.
juice. It was so much juice in the community at that time. And I was like, yo, I want to get in there, but unfortunately didn't make it in time for BO2. I think I won like the last online tournament and I gained like 300 followers that night. And then replays tweeted me like, do I have some talent to look out for? I was like, let's go, mom. Look, I gained 300 followers at night when I won the tourney.
Bro,
But dude, that was
and
so much juice.
even from the player side, bro, you would run an 8 and it was like 18 people in the
Yeah.
lobby, right? Like there was multiple 18 players in a lobby just waiting to play 8.
Yeah.
It was so active, man, and I think that was like that was why it was the thing to do. It was in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, following back up on the event stuff, we dropped Fears, we picked up Too Quick, which was a pretty regrettable decision. Nothing against him, it just didn't fit for our team. And that's how Farico, like you mentioned, got really good. They got
Yeah.
like we took Too Quick from Farico. They got like Haggy, Kill Amir, and Karma, and they were just nasty in the beginning.
He must have lost full that he joined you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. So like we like took away a player who was playing really. It was so dumb that he was playing really
Yeah.
good for them. And that's why we took him, and we didn't want Criminal in the main, but they were nasty. And that's kind of like why. So like at this point, I'm in college, Teep's in college, Crim's in college, and we're like, well, shit. Like none of these guys are, and they're grinding. And like if we want to take it serious, like they just won $1 million tournament.
Yeah.
So we finish our semesters and then we all leave school. We all leave college after champs and we pick up Clay. And that's kind of what started the 7 out that when we had said 7 out of 8, it was 7 out of 8 with Clay.
Yeah.
And so we pick up Clay and we're all like focused. I think Clay's still finishing a semester, but we're all like super focused on Call of Duty and and we give it like our all full time,
Yeah.
and that's when we kind of run the rest of the season in BO2, because we felt like we were at a disadvantage not being able to play as much as Farico in the beginning, um, and and yeah, that year was just legendary. Like even looking back, like because that was like the first time in like there had been a dominant run in North American esports since
Yeah.
like Final Boss, right? And like I guess partly instinct as well, but it's like other than that, like Halo Dynasty with Ogre 2, because he was a part of both. Like this was the first time in North America that like a team was just dominating an esport, and so that was super dope.
Yeah. And I think it was pretty much the first time in COD where a team so consistently was winning. So everyone just was super
Yeah,
interested. Everyone loved OpTic. Hated you guys, of course, 'cause you guys were the red villains. And then
yeah,
you guys would go to every event and just win. Like when I was younger watching, I was like, yo, Complexity is my favorite team by far because you guys would just win, talk shit, do whatever you want, come back to a tournament again and win again. Like, so you guys have my
yeah,
full
and
support.
we were like the bad boys,
Yeah,
right? Like that was kind of
exactly.
like the first time, like where we were like, oh, we're gonna keep winning and like keep talking shit, and it was
Yeah.
like it was unique and it was fun. And I think we all we all miss those days for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What was your first event win together? And what moment did you realize, like, okay, we're gonna win everything from this point on?
Our first event was Anaheim, where
Okay.
we like dethroned Impact, right? Like Impact was came off that like 4 in a row win
Yeah.
streak, and and we knew we were nasty, like we knew we were a good team. That but since we got Clay and like the foul, I think the foul got banned, the sentry guns got banned, like stuff like that kind of got out the game. And we're like, dude, there's no shot that anyone can beat us. And we pick up Mr. X. We picked up Mr. X right when we got Clay. So it was like a dual pickup. Like we picked up our main AR and we picked up our coach at the same time. So me, Crim, and Teep were just like, all right, like we're leaving school, we got a coach, we got
Yeah.
our main AR, like we go into the first event, we dethrone Impact, right? We stopped there 5P, and we like dominated. It was like a 6-2 in the grand final, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and that's when like the first time that was like the one event, the whole season, the one event where the fans were like all on our side, right? Like, because I mean, you know how Call of Duty is,
Yeah.
like if you're not OpTic and you're winning, like like the majority of the fans want to see you lose.
Yeah.
And so we're like this new team that's like coming that just picked up our fourth and we're coming off like force and we had like 3 force right before that.
Yeah.
And then we're still the bad boys, but we're like climbing that ladder
Yeah.
and we beat Impact and that was like the first event, the only event in that whole run where we were the favorites. Like people wanted us to win that series And like when we won, like the crowd went nuts. Like it was obviously something that like in my career was unique because I was always the shit talking like villain whatever. But that one event was the event where it kind of sparked everything.
Yeah. That is crazy. What would you say was your favorite match or event you've ever played at on land? What match you thinking?
Um, dude, I think it has to be the AW Columbus.
Ooh, that was a good one. That
Yeah, I
was
mean
insane. That was legendary.
like
That's
we're fast forwarding a lot here,
yeah.
but
We skipped Ghost a little
um
bit, but you won a world championship in Ghost.
yeah, like
You
Ghost was like the
guys,
same thing.
yeah,
Like
you
we
guys pretty
started
much
off
dominated,
dominating,
and then yeah,
and then like Damon had his baby, and there
yeah.
was a bunch of drama with EG and
Oh wait,
Complexity and
before we
MLG
get to,
TV.
sorry to cut you off. Before we get to AW, let's talk about the transition from having Crim and Damon on your team during Ghost to now they're on Optic, and then you went, other
Yeah,
ways.
so that'll lead into that event. Yeah, so basically um after we won champs in Ghost, we were on Complexity and we were like kind of not org shopping, but like we wanted some money, right? Like
Yeah,
we're
of course.
dominating this, and like I think we're getting paid like $500 a month. Um, and
Shoo.
so we wanted to kind of like upgrade org wise, and we go to and
Yeah,
EG in 2014 was huge. They were the biggest org in esports. They were massive.
yeah,
Um, but and I've kind of hinted at this on Twitter a few times where like we had an opportunity to be owned, not owned, owned by ourselves, but operated by MLG under Final Boss. Um,
that would have been
that
sick.
and I've tweeted it like the logo was red,
Yeah,
and it was like the red version of the Final Boss logo. And so looking back, we probably should have went that route, only because Twitch Call of Duty was switching to MLG TV, right?
yeah.
And we were sponsored by Twitch on EG, and it was a super frustrating situation. And that's what led Krim at the end of the day to transfer to Optic because
Damn.
Krim was like blowing up on his little quirky like, he was doing that like
the
robot thing that
yeah,
like whatever. He was starting to produce a lot of content. And I think him and Formal wanted to team up, and there was a chance that we would have stayed together, me, T, Formal, and Krim. Like there was a chance that that roster was going to be a thing. Because like I guess I don't know why, and like I honestly I haven't even talked to Damon about this to this day, but there was like a bridge that was kind of burned for him when he had to miss an event and we wanted to go to it and we were trying to pick up somebody in place of him.
yeah,
We ended up not, but anyway, that burnt that bridge. So like if we were to stick together, it was probably gonna be without Damon. And we were gonna pick up Formal because Formal and Krim wanted the team.
yeah.
That fell through. Formal and Krim go to Optic. Damon and Teep go to
Optic Nation.
Optic
Yeah,
Nation. Yeah, and I'm kinda left out in the dry, right? Like and I knew that was gonna happen because Optic was like it was our team's rival, but for
yeah.
the most part, it was my rival. And so I get left out in the dry, um, and we come back from Paris and the game comes out, AW comes out, and I'm teamless, right? Like I still have a really like, my reputation's really good,
Yeah,
and I'm still known as like a really good player, but I don't have a team, and like I'm missing like the first 2 weeks of the game. Game comes out, whatever. I scrim with TK for like a few days, and I mean we were pretty good, but I ended up joining FaZe with App and Doug and Neslo. They dropped Neslo, pick up Slasher, and that's what leads into that first event.
yeah,
But yeah, for me to answer your question, it really pissed me off. Like that quote from MJ's The Last Dance documentary
yeah. I
where
watched
he's
it.
like, "That's when it became personal for me."
Yeah.
Like that moment, like I had teamed with Teep for like 4
What?
years
Yeah,
at
from
least.
AW to
At
like MW2 to AW, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah, like
was 4. Yeah,
4 years. And, like, looking back, like, he left me and, like,
it's
I mean, it was
crazy.
obviously all business, right?
Yeah,
Like, everyone was making a decision to further their career, but, like, that's kinda when it became personal for me because I got left out in the dust, right? And I was, like, super pissed about it, for a while, and, I guess I had high hopes that we were gonna stick together,
yeah,
and we didn't. And so whatever, that happens, and I'm super pissed about the whole situation because they're all on like Optic now, right? Like
yeah.
going to
Optic
blow
Gaming,
up
Optic Nation. Yep.
and make money and whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, fuck y'all too.
Yeah.
Because I was like the leader of this team, and I had put together a lot of the last few years. Anyway, and we go into that AW event where I've joined FaZe, and we end up picking up Slasher for Neslo,
Yep.
and yeah, that event was nuts. There's the story. I obviously slashed my right thumb open. Right, like let's see, it's right here. There's like a little
Wait, put it in front of your
scar.
face a little bit, so you can see it because
I
the
don't know if
camera's
you'll
out
be
of
able to see
everything.
it. It's like
Move your.
healed up. You can
I
kind
can
of see
kind of
it.
wait. Put it down a little bit. Put it down for the camera. To the right. Maybe a
You see
little bit
it?
more right. No, more left. Other right. Left.
This
I
is
don't know. It's too
difficult, bro.
blurry, but yeah. I can kind of see it
There's
on the
like you
bigger
can see the
screen.
white line.
Yeah, I can see that, but I don't know if the stream will be able to. But I can see it.
Anyway, I got 5 stitches or 5 or 6 stitches in my thumb in the middle of the night. It was like 3 a.m. I've told the story a lot, but I go into the next day on no sleep, and we're in like I want to say we're in winter semis. We had just beat Denial. Wait, were you on Denial at this point?
Yeah, you beat
It
us
was
because
Tommy, right?
I
Tommy, you
remember
replays.
and Saints Nato. I remember
Okay, Nato. Yeah,
we
yeah,
played
yeah.
you in pool play and we 3-0'd you in pools, and then we played you in the bracket for I
Beat us in
believe
pools.
top
Yep.
4 or top 3, and you guys went up 2-0. We came back and we went round 11, game 5, and then you guys ended up winning, and then you made the run all the way to the grand finals.
Yep.
That's
So
crazy that
so
you
we
did that
start
with that hand.
so we start early and we lose our first match against Haggy, then we play you. That's what happened. Um and yeah, we played you in losers, and then we beat Haggy's team, I think, again, because they lost to OpTic, and we played
Yeah.
OpTic in the final. And this was kind of like when I was starting to like after we got shit on, like I got shit on bad in that first series. Like I was out of it, no sleep, whatever. Got absolutely like horked.
Yeah.
And then the loser run starting to heat up, and then we play OpTic in the finals, and I was just like, bro, there's no shot I'm fucking losing to these guys. Like they
It's
after all the
personal.
drama, Krim left me, and like I was playing against Krim and OpTic, but at the same time it was like it was just my ex team because
Yeah.
it was like me
Literally
versus
your
them in my
children.
head.
You were playing versus your children, your old
Maybe not my
duo.
children, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was in my head, it was me versus all of them because
Yeah,
that's
the
kind of
whole
how it
org.
went
You're just
down.
taking on Optic Gaming, Optic Nation, and Spirit. Like they did you wrong. You got to shit on them. It's
Yeah,
only right.
that's how I was thinking about it, and so we ended up beating them, and that was just an insane moment for me
Yeah,
because like at this time I was tied with Teep for event wins because me and Teep had played together at every
yeah,
event. So I was tied for him in event wins, and then I win that one, and that like puts me above him, and I think that's where you know in my career at least for that moment, like I was number one, right?
yeah,
Um, and so that event for me was my favorite, and it was the first championship FaZe ever won in Call of Duty, which was huge. And like looking back, that was just like World War II champs was a big event for me,
yeah.
but that event had like so much more on the line. And so that was my number one event for sure.
Yeah. Watching that event, seeing the story with like the stitches and everything, and all the story leading up from those past years, teaming with Krim and stuff, and then to see you beat them in the way you did. What was it, 2 best of 7s or was it 2 best of 5s?
Two best of fives.
Two
Yeah,
best
we
of
came from
fives.
losers and
Okay.
had to win two best of five.
Then I remember all the issues that event had. Like someone was hitting off. I think a
It
Lizard
was Lizard
Squad. They
Squad,
were
bro.
hitting off
Yeah.
the event, the streams and everything. People are up in the pro lounge juicing each other because back then you can still get hella juice for a follow 5, and then you ended up
Yeah.
winning. That was such a crazy event, weekend night. Like that was legendary and still talked about to this day. So I think you pushing Nate Shot and that event, it's still like that's like classics in Call of Duty that no one will ever
Yeah.
forget. Uh, that's crazy. And then you handed FaZe
Yeah.
off to me, and then we took care of it. We took care of it for you, and we got a couple more wins that year. So we made sure because Pat.
Yeah, I think looking back, like that event was a double-edged sword for me because that event allowed me to like prove myself
Yeah,
a lot. Like not that I needed to, but like that was kind of like where the first event I was like, I can do it without all of you. Like fuck you, like to my like
yeah,
dynasty team. Um, but that event definitely I think went to my head looking back. Because there's a lot of people know like
yeah,
my care level in the beginning of AW altered a lot winning that event, but because I felt like it sounds dumb, but like I felt like I had nothing left to prove after I
Yeah,
won that event. Um, and so I definitely let that affect my determination and my drive to be the best, for sure.
yeah.
I was still playing, competing. I just wasn't the best I know I could have been. Um, and so that's it when I handed it up phase off to you, and you ended up dominating the rest of the season.
Yeah, I know there's a couple events happened between them, but dude, that was still crazy. And then how did it feel like did you ever talk to Porter, Teep again, like right after you won that event? Did you see him that day or that night, that weekend at all? Or a couple days after that?
Nah, so that whole season was kind of weird, like, cause me and Porter we were like really heated teammates, but
Yeah.
we were pretty good friends. So before he left, and me and Teep were kind of always personable.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of weird to have a rival with him specifically
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
how much we came up together and how much we owe each other. Our success in the beginning of our careers. But like that whole year, like I don't think I really spoke to Krim. Like it was a legit rivalry. Like
Yeah.
we were at odds. And when I beat them at champs that year, right before I handed phase off to you. When I ended up beating him at champs that
Yeah.
year, Krim didn't even shake our hands. I think he was super pissed he lost that, because they were the best
Oh
team
yeah, they
at the
definitely were
time.
going into that. They were the
Yeah,
best team.
and they didn't beat us, and we beat them like 3-0, and it was pretty
Yeah.
bad. And he didn't even shake my hand. So like that whole AW year, me and Krim were kind of at odds. Like we didn't like each other, and it was kind of obvious. And that's I think what started the me and Krim rivalry. Was him leaving and then me beating him at those two events. And
Yeah.
I think I called him out like when we beat him at champs. I was like, I told Krim when he like that he would never beat me. Like I think I said that after we beat him in the interview, and that definitely didn't help. But um, me and him's relationship in the next like 2 years was not good.
Yeah.
We were not friends.
Yeah, I know because I know they were always like the best team for the majority of the season, but then in AW you beat them at champs and losers. In Black Ops 3, you beat them at champs and losers. And then they finally got their win at Infinite Warfare, but it just felt like that time when you just had their number. And I guess even in World War II, when you ended up winning champs again, you beat them there. So it always seemed like whenever you guys would match up at champs specifically, you would always have their number and just take them out.
I
It's kind of
I was
crazy.
actually laughing the other day. So I've played Krim at like 3 champs, and I've beat him at all of them. And the 2 champs I haven't played him at, he won them.
Really.
He
So
won
it'd be
IW and he won this year, and I didn't
yeah.
play him. But every other
Damn.
year I knocked him out.
Yeah, that's another reason why teams need to pick you up. Like, we don't want Porter winning
My
anymore. Like,
rivalry with Porter,
Paris
yeah.
has to just pull it through, pull up with the contract, and hit you up. So, all right, getting away from like more competitive talks, 'cause we just had some great talks about from all the way MW2 to AW, a little bit on like World War II and stuff. What do you think is the best overall COD in your opinion?
It's gotta be BO2 for me. And it's just because I feel like, and I don't know if they got lucky, and you can probably like speak to this too. Like that game was designed perfectly for
Yeah,
competitive, and I don't know if it was intentionally, right? That was the first year we had Hardpoint,
yeah,
and the spawns were literally flawless. The meta game was godlike. Like you had stuns, nades,
yeah,
flaks, smokes, EMPs. They all had a counter. The trophy systems were like, I think that's the best way to design a trophy system. You get them every life, you throw them. Um, they get 2 pops and then
yeah,
they're done. Because you can kinda GA the amount of trophies a team runs.
yeah,
But, like, the gunplay was amazing, the gun balance was amazing. Like, I've spoke on this too before. I believe that submachine guns should have really great mobility, really great pull-up time, but not crazy strafe speed. I think the
yeah,
strafe speed should be for ARs, and I think ARs should be slower.
yeah,
And so for BO2, to me, it was like the perfect like, if you're a strategist, you love BO2 because you could do so much with that game, and it was still I mean, dude, like, everyone tries to say, like, no slides or slow. That game was played fast. Like, that
yeah.
game wasn't a slow game by any means. You had
You had a
the
lot of
perk system was
engagements, especially in like
yeah, I mean
hardpoint and stuff. Like you were fighting until 249, 250. 80 total, 90 total engagements. Sometimes like it
It
was
it
crazy.
was to me, it was one of the fastest games, and I've always kinda said this, like, when I was always, like, uh, I guess, criticized in my career for not running a sub,
Yeah,
like, the way submachine guns were designed for, like, the first few years of competitive where you had, like, the MTAR, the MSMC, the UMP, like, those to me are submachine guns that I wanna run. Like,
yeah,
that's the game style I wanna play, and, like, when Krim was on, like, Names His podcast when he mentioned, like, the best sub before jetpacks, like, he said my name, and it's because I would run that sub if it's like that, if that's the mechanics of a submachine gun.
yeah,
But like they changed, they became subs that have to like strafe crazy, like the
yeah,
VMP you ran stock, like they just added stock to all subs, and it was just absurd because they're already the fastest fire rate, the
yeah,
fastest time to kill up close, and now they're doing crazy strafe. So for me, BO2 was the best game because you had like you ran quick draw long barrel. Obviously you had a dolphin die, there was no sliding, but the game was like the skill gap back then was like the fast pull up time, right? Like coming off sprint, snapping and gunning a guy, and it had range. You just couldn't miss your shots.
yeah,
Like the gunplay and the gun design was just perfect. And you know, for me in AW and IW and like the games after, they just kind of changed that kind of narrative on how they thought submachine guns should be. They all
yeah,
had stock. They all were crazy, and ARs became statue ARs. Like that's why I think Octane has been one of the most dominant ARs the last few years, is
yeah,
because the ARs transitioned to stand still and shoot hella straight,
yeah,
and that is what he does the best. Like you can't really contest. Like he probably has the best shot with an AR.
yeah,
Um, and so for me, that's why I stopped running a sub, and I think World War II got the closest to it with the PPSH, but I was obviously a flex, and um, so for me, it'd BO2. It just had the best metagame, the best map design. Hardpoint was amazing. The spawns were perfect, and S&D was
yeah,
almost flawless.
yeah. It was
So
really good. But
that's they need to recreate. If you want an elite level like
yeah,
COD game, it has to be similar to BO2. Like
yeah.
it, it just has to be.
That's actually what I was gonna ask. What do you think COD games need to be better? Because I completely agree with everything you said about BO2. Best maps we've probably had. Movement was incredible. MA was beautiful. MSMC was amazing. I just think everyone that has watched competitive since then knows that BO2 that's the standard of best game in Call of Duty. So I feel like
Yep.
we've been trying to get back to that point with the Call of Duty game every single year. I don't think we've ever been able to get back there. I don't know if we ever will get back there. But we're kind of just getting by with what we're doing. So what do you think will help us get back to that point where competitive Call of Duty is the best it can be rather than what we've been playing?
Do you think they got lucky?
Yeah. I don't
Do you
think they
think
did it on purpose.
because like because I think you're right. Like the last few years, when we're talking to developers, we're always pushing like get close to
Yeah.
BO2. Like BO2 did it right. And looking back, I think it was an accident. I think like the spawn system was an accident. I think hardpoint was an accident.
Yeah.
Like because they've tried to recreate it every year, but it's never really been how BO2 hardpoint was. So for me, your question was like, how do we like in the future?
Just have games, Call of Duty games be better and more consistent for competitive whereas some of the games we've been playing.
Well, we made a good step this year going back to 44. I think
Yeah.
that's an
I think that's
absolute must.
huge.
I think like we can't have a competitive Call of Duty 5v5. It just will never play and visibly look the way it
Yeah.
should. So that's a big step. But aside from that, the spawn system is important. But I think I tweeted the other day like we live and die by good and bad maps,
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if the map design doesn't suit how a competitive map design should be, and Tina, the one of the developers from IW a few years ago, tweeted me, and I think Clay chimed in as well. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be 3 lanes, like it really doesn't,
Yeah.
but it has to be symmetrical in a way that the spawn system and the maps have to work in unison. Um, and like, the gunplay could be terrible, the mechanics could be bad, but if the map design and the spawns are good, you're gonna have a good game, period. Like,
Yeah.
even if you don't like how it shoots, you don't like the gunplay, you don't like the mechanics, you don't like the utility and whatever, if you can play like, if you can sit down and strategize a way to play and play right every time to make a
Yeah,
right play, the game will be good at the core. So I think I just think they
having the
have to
good
design
maps.
maps,
Yeah,
and yeah, and the spawns have to kinda work with them.
yeah,
Forge mode would be dope, like, if I could sit in
that would be
forge
a
mode and
dream.
come up with a spawn system,
That's a
like
dream.
how you could in Halo,
Yeah,
I feel like I could do a fucking great job, but I know
yeah.
it's a lot more complicated than that on the dev end, but yeah, it's just gotta have good maps. That's just it has to.
Yeah, I made a YouTube video like giving my honest thoughts on the Black Ops Cold War beta, and I pretty much said like the most important thing in any and every COD is the maps. If there's a good maps, the game's gonna be good. If there isn't good maps, it's automatically bad. No matter how good the movement or gunplay feels. Like I feel like even Modern Warfare, the last game we just played, had good like smooth movement. The guns were
Yeah.
pretty good. The time to kill was insanely fast, but I just felt like the maps just were not good at all. Of course, we got introduced to squad spawns, so that's why I feel like that's just at the bottom of the
It was like a
barrel.
double negative. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
just
like the
added to it.
bottom of the barrel for competitive games is down there for sure. But what would you say is your least favorite or the worst competitive COD in your opinion?
So we're doing, like, MW2? Because for
Yeah, pretty much
me
from like Black Ops 2 on, I'd say there.
okay, then it's Modern Warfare.
Modern Warfare.
And it's and for me, my whole career, I kinda always said Call of Duty 3 was the worst Call of Duty ever, in
Yeah.
my opinion. But, in terms of competitive, Modern Warfare just missed everything, right? Like, tactical sprint was super broken, the
Yeah.
slide was super broken, the maps were not good, the spawn system was
Was yeah,
atrocious.
terrible.
Like, for me, that game was truly, truly designed to be anti-competitive,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it did so well casually. I think
Yeah.
that's why Warzone is so amazing, is because the game at its core was not like, competitive wasn't even thought. Like, it was literally not even thought about,
Yeah.
and and I hate to talk bad about a developer, like, they're doing their job, they made a phenomenal product, obviously, for their goal,
Yeah.
but for me to be a true like, a diehard competitive Call of Duty player and person, like, the care level, was not there.
Yeah.
They flew a ton of us out
Yeah, we were there.
or
I
act
remember you picked me up in the
yeah.
GTR.
I did pick you up. We
Yeah.
went to the studio together. Yeah, Activision flew us out, and we did a lot of as a lot of players have done throughout the years, a lot of pre-game
Yeah.
stuff, and I felt like we gave and had a ton of really good feedback.
Yeah.
I thought like the stuff we were kind of asking for was reasonable. I thought it was not crazy. I thought it wasn't going to affect how the game played at a casual level.
Yeah.
I thought we really did a good job, and you know it was just not taken into consideration whatsoever. And I
Yeah.
think, and that's kind of why I said the game at its core was not designed to be competitive. And I think we all knew that when the developers were on like
The live stream, yeah, I remember that.
the live stream before the game came out, and they
Yeah,
were
there was that
like,
clip.
we don't want someone to be punished for being bad.
Yeah.
Like, that was their logic, right? And
Yeah.
competitive is all about punishing worser players, right? Like,
Exactly.
it's you want a skill gap, you want the better players to be far and away better than the worst players, and you want the worst players to climb that rank and have to, like, go through the
Yeah.
trials and tribulations of getting better. And I think Modern Warfare didn't have that, so, like, aside from skill-based matchmaking and all that bullshit, like, the game at its core, design-wise, was not designed for competitive,
Yeah.
and I think that's why you have squad spawns, right? You spawn into all your teammates, and you're protected, and um, it couldn't be played competitively, and, I hate to say, like, this game was an asterisk and that game is an asterisk, but, like, in terms of competitive Call of Duty,
Yeah.
last year was not competitive Call of Duty.
It was like the
Um,
furthest thing away from what we've known and grew up playing with like the
yeah,
spawns and everything. It was just like literally a whole flip. And I think that's why we saw a lot of the new amateur teams and players come up like we've never seen before. Like there's never been that many amateur
I
teams that
fully
could
agree.
beat pro teams and that many amateur players that would come up in a single season. Usually it would be like 3 to 5 maybe in like old CODs, but it felt like just amateur
And
takeover
it
because they
and it
like
wasn't
learned
like they
it
didn't have a
faster.
chance.
Yeah.
They had a chance. It's
Yeah.
just you weren't good enough because there was a lot of things that I think Slasher said it best. Like the way a lot of these players that came up last year, and don't get me wrong, some of them are good, right?
Yeah,
Some
there's
of them
some
learned a
definitely.
ton this year. I think Mac Melts,
Yeah, no, I think
for
Mac
the
will be.
subliners, like
Yeah, I think he'll be
he's
really good at all COD games. Like he just seems like
yeah,
a
like
really smart player.
there's obviously exceptions,
Yeah,
but in terms of like even the in the challenger scene was played so like tight, like
yeah,
the way Modern Warfare was played was the way that a ton of players have been playing for years, right? That have never switched their play style, never learned or changed or anything.
yeah,
And it finally worked this year, right? Like hitting dumb scrap, making bad plays, feeding streaks, like fucking up spawns. None of that
yep,
existed this year. None of it. Like
yep.
you could do whatever you wanted on the map. And if
Literally.
you got a two piece or you got a kill, you got away with it. It was a good play.
Yep.
And people amateurs, whatever, even non-amateurs have been playing that way for years, and it never ever punished them. It was never a bad play in this game.
Yeah.
But in all those other games, they were getting shit on, and they were terrible, and like it didn't work. But it
Yeah.
worked this year, and that's why a lot of them had so much success. And I think some of them will transition to
Yeah,
4v4, and
definitely.
like even if we had a normal COD that was perfect competitive, some of them would be really good, right?
Yeah.
Like you learned a
No,
lot, you
without a
played with
doubt.
some people who taught you a lot, and you'll transition well because you competed at a high level. But I think that is the reason that so many players just were randomly good this year, right?
Yeah.
Like players that you had known for years that you would
Weren't.
never even
Yeah.
think of were just good. So
Yeah.
I think that's what happened, and I think it was super, super shitty that the year that happened was the
Was the
first year of
first. Yeah.
franchising.
Was.
I
Yeah.
think that was a super unfortunate thing. I think it fucked a lot of people over, including myself, and, I mean, it's whatever, it's unfortunate, but it was just, for me, super unfortunate that Modern Warfare was the game of the
Yeah.
first year of franchising.
Yeah. No,
And
that.
online. We can't forget online.
Yeah, yeah. Online, of course, it was tough. It was just unavoidable. It was either we play online or we don't have a season. So at least we got online, but
We
it
had
just
to, yeah.
it just everyone knows that's ever played in any online game. It's just not competitive. No matter how perfect you try and make it, it's never going to be competitive. Someone else is always going to have an advantage over another person. That's just how it works. That being said, I'm still glad we were able to play this season. I would much rather play it out and whatever happens, happens and have something to look forward to, have something to play in, something for you guys to watch and support. So I'm glad we played that year out, but it was
I fully
definitely
agree with you. I
tough.
mean,
Yeah.
it was we had to do it. It was the best case. I mean,
Yeah.
COVID wasn't Activision or Infinity Ward's
Yeah,
fault.
of
Like that
course.
was we had to make the best of what we had, and I think they did a good job. I think the
Yeah.
product they handled it well. I think Activision did an amazing job. Definitely, there's a big shout out to them that
Yeah.
they deserve credit. But I mean, yeah, I mean, online Call of Duty. I mean, I mean, even some of the best players in the world are better online than they are on LAN, and that's not like a
Yeah.
hit to them. They're still disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
I think Kyler Hook is an amazing Call of Duty player. I think he's been an amazing Call of Duty player for
Yeah.
years. But even teaming with him last year, some of the stuff he did online, like, was mind blowing to me. Like not that he couldn't replicate it, but like some of the shit was just impossible. Like it was just like, bro, you're on another level.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it has a lot to
and
do
I,
with location too, like where you're
yeah, yeah, yeah,
based. If you're based
100%.
in the best spot online, you're gonna be just a different breed. So that's another big thing. But it's gonna be interesting going back to Blackout or Black Ops Cold War and seeing how the competitive plays out for the rest of or the next season. Because if the spawns are back to normal, who's going to be the best teams? Who's going to be the best players? It's going to be really interesting to go back and see. Um, I'm excited for it. I'm sure you are. Whether
Yep.
you get that offer from a team in the CDL, which you're definitely deserving of, or if you have to grind it out through challengers. But it's gonna be crazy to go back and see just who the best players are at this game compared. Like it's gonna to like rank them between MW and this new game. So it's gonna be crazy.
Yep.
But what would you say is your personal best Call of Duty of all time? Like you were the best player. Which Call of Duty would that be for you? It could be at a moment too. It doesn't have to be throughout the whole season. It could be like what Call of Duty were you the most talented at, smartest at, whatever it may be.
This is probably gonna be a surprise, but I think at the end of MW2, I
Okay.
that for me, and like this was like kind of like not my rookie season. This was early on in my career.
Yeah.
I think I mastered MW2 like the absolute best at the very end of that season. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I could run any role. I could run every game mode. I was just super consistent at. That was like the most confident I ever was playing Call of Duty on a personal level. was the very end of MW2. I think that was when I was just the best. But for people that obviously weren't watching, then like that's my answer.
Yeah.
But if we're talking BO2 and on or BO1 and on, it was Champs era Ghost like
I'm sorry, Ghost.
that 3-month period in
Yeah.
Ghost, where it was strictly MTAR. Um, that's when I really felt like no one could fuck with me.
Yeah.
Um,
Because you guys won Philly, Columbus, and was there another event you won before? Oh, you lost at regionals,
we lost the regionals
but
event,
then you
the
won
0
champs.
prize money like
Yeah.
thing qualifier, yeah, and then we won champs.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. You won champs right after. Okay. No, that's interesting to see because I
So
know in
so
Black
those are
Ops
like
2
my
you were
top 2.
discussing too. So Ghost champs time. I remember going to that event. That was an interesting one. That was a very interesting one that I went to. But is there anything that you're looking forward to doing after your career, whenever it does come to an end, when you just don't have the passion for it? Because right now it seems like you want to get back into it. You have the passion to be the best player in the world, to become the best team in the world. So I don't think it's ending anytime soon unless you want it to. But when it does, what do you want to do or plan on doing?
Yeah, so, I mean, now that you mentioned that, like, it's so dumb. Obviously, I have to fight against, like, how I performed last year for 4 events and then got complete or 4
Yeah,
matches. I played 4 matches, right, last year. That's all I played on
yeah,
12 hertz, whatever. So obviously, I have to on a team where I was not running the role that I play and whatever. So I have to obviously fight against that. But,
yeah,
like, for me personally, like, even playing Cold War and playing, eights against other pro players and, um, kinda knowing the style of Call of Duty it's going back to with 4v4, there's no doubt in my mind that I could be a top player and on one of the best teams. For me, the hurdle is getting teammates.
yeah,
And I think, that's the big issue is just like talking like challenger stuff aside, like talking strictly
yeah,
professional CDL, is just getting teammates that like know I'm gonna give it 100%. Because I think at points in my career, wherever it is, there's always the oh he doesn't try or he doesn't care or whatever.
yeah,
He's won all this and made all this money, blah 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 blah. For me, I mean that shit's irrelevant to this point because like I said, the biggest thing I'm pissed off about is the first year of franchising was last year, um, on the game that obviously I didn't enjoy because
yeah,
there's always been the critics of like, "Oh, you can't adapt, blah, blah, blah," but it comes down to enjoyment, right? Like,
yeah.
and 5v5 for me was not enjoyable. Like, the way I like to play and the what my strong suits aren't like they're not the
They're not in
5v5
5v5.
doesn't
Yeah,
add to it, right? Like, what I'm really good at, 5v5 kinda goes against.
yeah,
So, for me, like, what I wanna do after Call of Duty, when I make that decision, um, is probably go the team route. I think I think what I don't get enough credit for, from a lot of people and, like, there's obviously some that know, but I'm really good at roster building,
yeah,
and I've kind of always been a player coach and a player manager my whole career anyway. Like I was the captain of a team in game and did all this stuff, but out of the game, I did the role of like a GM and a coach for
yeah,
years, and I did it well, and I handled everything on like the business side of the team outside of the game. So I think for me, that's a role that I could seamlessly transition into and instantly be the best at.
yeah,
Like I really think I could like today, tomorrow, whatever. If I stop playing, like if I was a coach or a general manager or had some ownership role in a team,
yeah,
in terms of like working with a roster and building out a franchise for a future, I think that's something that I would like absolutely uh be amazing at,
yeah,
without tooting my own horn. I think that's something that for me it's just a seamless transition.
yeah,
So for when I stop competing and if I want to stay in the space, that would be my number one, and then my number two would probably be an analyst role um, on broadcast because I think a big issue that Call of Duty's had over the years is not explaining why things are done a certain way.
yeah,
Um, and I don't think that's any fault of the analysts that we've had in the years past, but I don't think it was like a focal point. But I think being on, an analyst desk with my takes and my how I'm kind of blunt about my
yeah,
opinions, I think that's something I would be really good at as well. But for when I'm done playing, I think I'd want to go the team route first, and I think I could find a lot of success there.
Yeah,
I know it's kind of weird now because we're locked at 12 at the moment, and the league hasn't expanded. But when that day comes, and whatever, I think that's something that I would pursue if I wanted to stop playing.
definitely. I mean, I think you would do either flawlessly and you would get picked up in an instant to do either for a team or be analyst on the desk. Because, I mean, you're one of the staples of Call of Duty. You're pretty much like the only person that's been the villain in Call of Duty. I can't really think of anyone else that's been that villain and been as successful in Call of Duty compared to you. So, like, that's you. Like, when you think villains of COD,
Yeah,
you're the only one. That's it. That's you.
I guess Crim's trying now.
Yeah, but I think he was mentioning it on the Hex podcast. Like, it wasn't even like he kind of got forced into that. Like, he didn't feel like he was the villain.
Yeah.
He was just like, what the fuck? I got left and all this other stuff. I didn't really watch the whole thing yet. But
Hey, that's kind of how I felt in 2014.
yeah, and then he came back and smoked him a little bit. But one thing that probably most or no way most of the public knows is that thank you from me and all the other players and I guess not the orgs, but you single-handedly raised the salary multiple times in your career from like the old cause. And I feel like people don't know that because there's things you would do. Like, I don't know what you would do exactly, the way you would talk your business and stuff, but you would always make yourself or your team get a raise, and then people would try and catch up and compete on that level. So it felt like every season you do something, everyone's salary gets a bump in the league. So that's pretty
Yeah, I
crazy.
think that's a crazy a point to bring up because I think I did the math somewhere of like, and like we can have the argument of whether salaries are inflated or not, but like the 2014 or I guess 2013 salary level to now, like if you did the math, like how it changed year over year to like
Yeah,
what that top number was is insane. Like that 6 year just jump of what salaries went to and like how they progressed was absurd.
up hundreds of thousands of percent.
Yeah, literally. I
Yeah,
mean, I mean, we were the only team on salary in late 20. We signed it. We were our whole Black Ops 2 run under complexity. We were playing for no salary. After we won 7 out of 8, we got $500, 500, and then we joined EG, and I think it went to 1,000.
yeah,
And then
that's insane.
like how it went, yeah, the next few years was crazy.
Yeah, I feel like every year it would just double, 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 double. Of course, when franchising came in, it kind of, took off and
Yeah,
went
that's
even
a different
crazier.
story. Yeah,
That's
it's a
a whole
little yeah.
different story. But back in like the older COD days, it was still crazy to see that growth in each player and each team's salary every single season. But I think that's
I
it
appreciate it.
for me and my questions. Are you down to answer some questions from the chat? We'll get a couple if you're ready
Yeah,
for
sure.
this.
Yeah, let's
All
do
right,
it.
guys, we got Patty P, the legend, one of the Call of Duty goats. So I'm gonna pick a couple questions. Some of the best questions in the chat. Put your question for him in the chat, and I will ask him. Also, I'm going to be doing a giveaway real quick after we end this right here. Going to be giving away a drink control, one package of it, and then also a shaker. So if you want to win
What's your
that,
favorite
stick
flavor?
around. Drink control, probably Cocoa Crunch. I'm a real big fan of like just chocolate chip
Okay, okay.
cookies, ice
I was
cream,
I
so
was
I
gonna
love Cocoa
ask Doug
Crunch.
to try his new like birthday cake flavor.
I haven't tried that one yet. I haven't tried it. I need to try that. But cinnamon's always really good. Fruit, like they all
That's my
taste
favorite.
really good. They all taste really good, but I just love chocolate, so that's why
What do
Cocoa
you drink
Crunch
it
has
with?
my
Do you
heart.
drink it with almond milk?
Almond milk, yeah, yeah, yeah. Almond
Yeah.
milk. I don't know the water sometimes. It's alright, but with milk, I feel like it's mixed in perfectly because it's supposed to be cereal.
Yeah,
It's like
I want
anyways.
to try
So
oat milk. Everyone, when I tweeted about almond milk, like
oat
I think
milk.
it was like a few weeks ago, everyone was like, "You gotta try it instead."
Really? Okay, yeah,
Apparently, it's like
I haven't tried that either,
really
but
good.
I know we both live in like LA, so that's the new thing. All bougie kind of.
Yeah,
There'll be another
really.
kind of milk that comes out within the month, and then people will be
Yeah.
all on that. That's just how it goes. But let's see what we had. Uh, oh my God, there's a lot. Okay, this is a good one from Akshar98. Can you elaborate on your team building process? So, what do you look for when you start building a team? Aside from
Hmm.
maybe just skill, because I feel like everyone looks for the raw talent and skill, but what other attributes do you look for?
Um, let's think. Um, I mean, obviously, and I've always kind of been known for this. Like, I approach the game at like a high IQ level,
Yeah,
right? Like, so for teammates, like, and this is what went into me picking up Crim. Like, Crim's a super intelligent person, Um, and, in terms of Call of Duty, like, the way he thinks about the game isn't like the, like, simple, "Just tell me what to do and I'll go do it" way.
Yeah.
Like, um, so for me, I like people that approach the game at a way of like, "Alright, there's like 5 plays I could make, and like," or let's say that's way too there's 3 plays I can
Yeah.
make, right? And like, these are the kinda pros and cons of each play, and kind of like evaluating that in like a split-second move and like
Yeah.
what that means for your teammates and, how you're playing to help, um kinda help your other teammates succeed,
Yeah.
making plays that benefit not only yourself, but your teammates as well. I think that's a big thing, and that's kind of a hard thing to quantify,
Yeah.
but that takes watching players and kinda noticing how they play and communicate, to learn that. But that's a big thing for me, as well as, for me, and I've always kind of like, been known whatever for S&D throughout my whole career, like, that's always been a kind of one of my better modes
Yeah.
in my career. But, I think that ties into S&D really well because those play,
Yeah.
really similarly. But, good S&D, is huge for me, and then, something that I guess I would have been at fault for at points in my career was just being, um, not being coachable, but, able to handle criticism
Yeah.
and not get, like, personally, attacked or
Yeah.
affected by that. Because like, I think, like, if I w Dylan, if I was to just tell you everything you did wrong on the map and you just be like, "Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
This is what I think you did wrong as well." That dynamic is way better than, like, me telling you and you being like, "Fuck you, dude, like, I'm better than you, you don't know,
Yeah.
whatever."
Of
Like,
course.
I feel like that's still a big, gap between a lot of players is just not understanding that, like, you don't like, your teammates at the end of the day, like, I can say whatever and, like, criticize how you play whatever,
Yeah.
but, like, it's because I want you to get better. It's because
Exactly.
I
It's
want my
never.
team to get better. It's not because
Yeah.
I don't like you and I don't think you're good. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, if I didn't think you're good, we would be teaming.
Yeah.
But, that and, I think my last point was, I just had it in my head before I said that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Fuck, what was it? Oh, we'll come back to it when it comes back to
Yeah.
me.
We'll
But there
come
was one
back.
more point I had, but yeah.
We'll remember it. So I got two more questions from the chat. One of them being is, what are your top three teammates of all time?
Top 3 teammates. Is that like a in talent or
It
like
could
my
be
favorite?
whatever like you think, like as an overall player or person, whatever it may be. Like you just love playing with these people. You would team with them
Okay.
again. Just who comes to mind when you think of your top three teammates of all time with
Prim
every
Prim
attribute.
Prim and Teep would probably be 1 and 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh, 3's kinda hard.
Yeah, because you've had so many different thirds throughout your career and super talented ones you've teamed
I
with for a while. Yeah, I'm interested to hear this one.
I I guess it would be Assault,
Okay.
um,
I think that's an
only 'cause
unexpected one for a lot of the people in the chat. Like they probably won't expect that one. But why is
yeah,
that?
we me and Adam teamed a lot, like, we teamed through IW, World War II, VO4, right? We teamed, like, 3 years pretty much,
Yeah.
almost back to back to back, um, and I think me and him just got, along in game pretty well, we communicated well, I think he liked the way I play, I liked the way he played, we played in a, like, high preparation, like, strategy
Yeah.
way that I think benefited his style,
Yeah.
and it obviously having an AR that kinda understood that, was super beneficial to me, but I think me and him were a good dynamic to have on a team because we worked well together, um, and I think we worked well off each other
Yeah.
together well. So probably Assault.
Oh, that was a good one. I did not expect him be number three because I mean, I feel like he's only teamed with the same people for so long that no one really knows how he actually is as a teammate because he's always been surrounded by the same people. And
Yeah.
then the last and final question from the chat: what was your? This is kind of a random one. What was your favorite search and destroy strategy with your team from any game? What was your favorite S&D strat? If you can still remember it, like one
It
that
was
you knew
probably
would
on
work every
Freight.
time.
Yeah, it was on Freight with my complexity team. Um like pre-champs,
Yeah.
kind of like how when we were like going hard to come up with S&D strategies,
Yeah.
before champs. I think we had I don't think we lost a freight S&D at that event other than to OpTic when we went like round 11
Run
where you
away.
started it 5 times and they did
Yeah.
that round 11 fucking 4 red hit. Um, but I think, we had this strat on offense. We had 2 different strats, but it was a strat on offense, where we had, like, smokes, like perfect smoke plays, and, it was a red hit, but it wasn't like that 4-man red hit. It was like a I jumped top red 2,
Yeah.
someone, I think Krim hit red door, Teep hit logs, and Damon sniped over green, and kinda watched our flank and made sure, you know, that push was gonna go well.
Yeah.
And, like, the execution timing and the smokes and, like, we got that strat down to a T. Like,
Yeah.
anytime we did it, it wasn't like a, "Oh, you didn't go at the right time. Oh, you didn't do this or that." Like, we had it locked, and, that for me was like a flawless a strat that, like, throughout all my teams that we could execute flawlessly every
Yeah.
time.
Now, there's no better feeling than when you have that down to the science and you can just call that strat anytime and you know it's going to work unless some like random magic stuff happens. It
Yeah.
just feels so good to have that in your back pocket at all times and know that you could just have one strat that gets you a guaranteed round pretty much. But
Dan's
damn,
bullshitting in the chat. I don't know why he
Dan's
says he would
bullshit.
have that strat. He knows he couldn't stop that.
Damn. Dill looks chopped. Yo, what the heck?
Coming at you, bro.
Wait, what was that one clip with Donnie where it's like, do I look faded?
Yeah.
That was too funny. Nah, yeah, Dan and I in Ghost, we were having that strat easily. We would have that strat easily. They're just lucky I couldn't play at that chance yet. Nah, but for real, thank you very much for coming on. It was a great time. We had a lot of great talks. I learned a lot about your early days in your career and stuff. I'm sure everyone in the chat did as well. So I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Hope you had a good time.
Yeah, brother, I did. Thank you. And keep up your content grind, man. You're killing it.
Yes, sir. Gotta do something in the off season because Warzone ain't hitting for me anymore. So
Yeah.
it's either I do content or I sit in bed, eat ice cream, and watch the Blacklist. So that's
That's what I've been doing.
really it's not it's not a bad plan. It's not a bad plan. But thanks again, everyone in the chat. Say thank you to the COD legend Patty P. Aches, 20-time champion, 2-time world champion. Make sure you hit up your CDL franchises, your general managers if they're watching. Send him his resume. He's ready to go. Back to 4v4 boots on the ground is crazy. All right, I'm about to do this. Oh, wait. Go ahead.
I am the last 44 boots champion.
You're
It's
world
the last
champion.
tournament,
World champion.
4v4. Like, look at the shirt you got on right now. That's what I am. The
Yeah.
last of 44.
Literally. That's crazy. All right, well, that's it. That's his resume right there. All right, Pat, thank you very much for coming on. I'm about to do a giveaway real quick. You don't have to stick around if you don't want to, but it's been fun. It's been real. Thank you, boss.
All right, brother. Thank you, man.